Okay, welcome to our weekly learning. Tanya, Baruch Hashem, we have the opportunity. Pasha's Tazuya Matsoya. It's a double Pasha. So there's a lot of Shnai Mechazachas Tagim to do, a lot of learning, and being that we're in the Sphira day, right now it's Malchus of Gavura with the 14th day of the Sphira, and we're learning in Perek, chapter 32, the Lave of Tanya. Very important place to be focused on this time of year, because we're trying to build towards a Leiv Tov. That's the whole avodah. Sphira 49 days, Gematria Leiv Tov. So work on becoming a better person and having a good heart, a true heart, a heart of good. And from the Svarim Kedoshim, there's love based on Sivas, Chochmah, and there's also the Indian of like Wa'oma and the Gilri from Shema Yochai and the Pnimis Torah. So we have extras after the Shema this time of year to really tune into what does Hashem want, how He's manifesting His awe in a revealed way. And in Tanya, the focus here is on Avos Yisrael. Hein lo lehefsid schar mitzvah ahavas reim. By constantly working towards Avos reim, loving a fellow man. Now here's the sefer that Mami was talking about. Don't forget, maybe you should take it with you because I haven't been using it so much. It's a sefer on Divrei Chizuk, on Diyan Lachav Zchut. I got this a long time ago from Rav Simai Zuberberg. I bought it for Mami and we learned it together for a while. So you can borrow it, and it's very important because Rav Simai Zuberberg takes you to the Heichal Zchus, the realm of as it says in the Shemayim, there's a new Heichal that was built by the Kedushas Levi, or maybe it was always there, but he was Megaler, the Lebedicheva, and his whole name is Levi Yitzhak. It's Gavura Shubba Gavura, like his Mechina. Levi is side of Din, and Yitzhak is Din, and he was Mamtik the Dinim through Heichal Zchus, for focusing on the Nekuda Tova, on the Zchut, on the Pnimius of Am Yisrael, that Be'emes, as we're learning in Tanya, that we all have a Nefesh Elokai, and we all, Be'emes, even the lowest level souls have, I was learning in the Tanya Sefer from Yosef Bornstein, and then we know in other Svarim as well, when even the lowest level souls have a shaykhs to and also Ginsburg's as well was bringing down, but we have a shaykhs to Hashem on the highest level, and a Shorish Neshama that goes all the way back when Hashem created us from the Shorish, from the root, and therefore we're not really shaykh the sin or the negativity that people might on an external level attribute us to. We're actually on a Pnimius level connected into the Heichal Zchut, into this place of merit. And Rav Simai Zuberberg in this whole sefer, you'll see, works hard through, like you learn a Sugya in Shas or in Daf Yomi or Halacha or Pnimius. He works hard to show you how to think in the way of the Tzaddikim, where to think bad on a Yid is a pagam. Just like people have pagamim, God forbid, in Kedusha and Tahara, he holds a pagam in Avos as well, is also the same kind of pagam. Because in the end, Avos Torah and Avos Yisrael and Avos Hashem is all one. So if you have a pagam in how you think about a Yid, then you have a pagam in your connection to Torah and Hashem. There's no less equation on that. So it shows you the seriousness of how you connect to Am Yisrael. It's worth learning that sefer, and it fits perfectly with this Perek, which we're almost coming to a siyum of. Very important Perek. And Tanya, as I said, was the first part of Tanya that I was able to learn when I first started learning about Yiddishkeit. Shavua Tov. Gam ha-korovim elav, even though he's one who's enjoined to hate, Hochim lo shabo mavenoseihem, for they're close to him and he's rebuked them, but they still, what? Shemitzvah l'sanosam, it's a mitzvah to hate them, mitzvah avam gamkein, one is obligated to love them too. So, alright, this is complicated, but the point is that you don't hate them, you hate their sin. Yeah? So you have a mitzvah to love them. Shtein hein emes, both is true. Sina misad hara shebehem, And remember, this is talking in the Tanya, the whole system of thought, that you have the concept of being a Beinani. Most of us, halavai, we should aspire to try to be a Beinani. Yeah? But to be a tzaddik means you're on a level where you hate evil. Yeah, that whole concept of it, and he's
also God is evil.
Yeah,
because you know that it's like, how can someone do such a thing?
Okay, but the point is, by most people, like, we haven't yet got to Madrega where we're like in terms of a tzaddik, where we hate evil. We might not do it. To be a Beinani, you're definitely not doing evil, but it doesn't mean we've got to the point in a true way where we totally hate the evil within and without. So that would be most of us heading towards that level of just being real, that we don't hate the evil again. Yeah, we might be sensitive to it and be put off by it, or different feelings, but to get to a level of the tzaddik where we hate it and it's pure, where it's coming from a true place, not just because of bad midas or something, but coming from a true place of hatred in a godly way. That's the nakuda, that we have to be real. Most of us are not there. But nevertheless, he's saying over here, if we bring it in this part of Tanya, that he hates the evil that's within them. And he loves the good that's hidden inside of them. And that's the truth of all of Am Yisrael. I was trying to explain yesterday that someone going to Chutzlaritz and has family who are not keeping Torah mitzvahs so much. Fine, you have to feed your soul and you have to be around good people, but if you have to deal with people that are not keeping Torah mitzvahs day after day, you're going to have to figure out how to tune into the good that's hidden within them. The fact that they have midas tovas, or derech eretz, or they have certain values that makes them a yid, that makes them holy to Hashem, even without them keeping everyday Torah mitzvahs. There's a way, and I spoke to Rebbeim about this many years, about learning to tune into the neshama of other Jews, and looking at the neshama, talking to the neshama, not getting sidetracked by the klipa or whatever it is that's got hold in them, and tuning into the good that's within them. And this is the godly spark within them, that animates their divine soul. So from this spark of godliness is present even in the most wicked of one's fellow Jews, is merely hidden. This is Lessons in Tanya 4:28 saying this. We now be faced with the anomaly of a fellow Jew whom we must both love and hate, but what attitude should he adopt towards the person as a whole who possesses both these aspects of good and evil? When, for example, the sinner requests a favor, should his hatred dictate his response or his love? So someone's asking you to do a tova, yeah? Now, he doesn't seem like such a tzaddik. Like, I have friends who every time I go back, they want to meet with me. And it could be like, I've got learning, I've got mitzvahs, I've got chiyuvim, like kibbut avayim. What do I need to meet with this old friend, or what? It doesn't keep Yiddishkeit. No, you meet with him, and now it's to a point where him and his wife want to start keeping Torah Mishpat. Now it's a point where he's putting on tefillin every day and he's saying brachos and he's having his chaskas and Yiddishkeit. So you realize that all those meetings were not herbal. There's no such thing. Yeah, you meet with a yid, and he's already asked me now, the same yid, when am I coming back, and would I be available to meet with him? I mean, one, we love each other as friends anyway, but so that was really the motivating point for me. I never knew he'd get into Yiddishkeit. I honestly didn't think about it, but that's the truth. You never mi'ash on a yid. You always keep a relationship, and Hashem can bring out that good within them to reveal it, start to reveal. And now I'm getting chizuk from him in his journey in Yiddishkeit, because he's doing it in a much harder place than I am. I'm living in Eretz, surrounded by people keeping Torah mitzvahs. He's living in London, where a lot of people he's around don't keep Torah mitzvahs. And one day he'll come here, Hashem, down the road. It's a process, yeah. And Hashem is working the world that a lot of Jews are going to have to come back to Eretz Yisrael because of the sinah towards Am Yisrael, and it's growing, unfortunately. So Yidden are going to have to come back from that reason also. But obviously we want it berachim toshiv. The point is that Hashem awakens that godly part, and also Rabbi God said that one's relationship with the sinner as a whole should be guided by love. By arousing one's compassion for him, one restricts one's own hatred so that it's directed solely at the evil within the sinner, not at the person himself. So that was the chiluk we made before. You're never hating the person. You hate the evil that has taken over. But even that is even that's a madrega, that's a subtle thing that you have to be real about, because you can't, once again, if you're not on a level where you hate evil, you can't hate the evil in someone else. So if we're talking about halavai being a Beinani, so these are high madregas, so we have to be real about this nakuda of hating evil and hating the evil within other people and v'chulu, because once again it can get confused and it can end up, God forbid, as not treating people properly. And we're having our own bio and our own problems. Yeah, we have to get rid of that.
If there is something for one man, who comes to our counter, can we get put for one man?
Yeah, of course, the whole Churban based in English. That's why we need to work ba'achtas. It's hard with all the different groups, and like this time of year, Sfiras Omer, it's working on honouring each other, and there's different minhagim about how to honour this, this time of year with Sfiras Omer, and there's different minhagim of what people do this time of year in all different ways during the Sfira and with the Medina, and then there's different groups, so you have to work it out. But bottom line, you don't come out hating anyone. You have respect for everyone's different customs and minhagim, and it's the bottom line is we have to have ahava, and the Zam Alakai Ba'odi, that's the important Rabbi Nachman Torah that we have to bring at this point, that this works perfectly.
Think something.
Yeah. By Me'or the good. Yeah.
First Chelik finishes with
Yeah.
Also the last Torah from the second Chelik, it says you have to learn the Rish Babies.
Yeah. Which is all about Zam Alakai Ba'odi. It's true, and that's why Rabbi Nachman's Sefer is called Sefer Rishayim, not that it's Chas V'Shalom for Rishayim, but it gives you the tools how to process that Nisayon of someone who seems like a Rasha, that you draw out the Nefesh Elokai, you focus on the Nakuda Tova, the good point. One must also arouse compassion of the divine soul of the sinner, for the case of the wicked is an exile within the evil of the Sitra Acha which dominates it. So there's this concept of being awakening up Rachamim in his heart upon him. And this is something which Rabbi Nachman, when he heard the Baal Tanya talk about this concept of having Rachamim on the soul, that was after hours and hours of one of his mimers. I heard this from Moshe Wolfson. That was the only thing he was mispal from the Baal Tanya, this Nakuda, to be Ma'oire Rachamim on the Neshama. He was by the Baal Tanya one time, and it was one of his big Maimarim. Where he was in that time, I don't know exactly the specific location. But the Baal Tanya was considered the Rav of the Hasidim. So, and Rabbi Nachman was a great grandson of the Baal Shem. So he's going to go to here, and the Bedicheva was very close with the Baal Tanya, and he was very close to the Bedicheva. So they were all connected. So he went to hear his Torah, and this was the point where Moshe Wolfson brought down that he was Mo'ira. This woke him up as well, Rabbi Nachman, about this point. I mean, he already pretty holding in it, but the idea that he connected with, that to waken up the Rachamim on the soul in others, in your own soul, you have to mafanas your own soul, not just begashmis beruchnis. You have to feed it Torah to keep your soul. As I said to the person going to England, you have to keep learning and have to keep feeding your soul while you're there, so you have the energy to keep your own Yiddishkeit going, not just busy melamed schus and everyone else. But the idea is you have to work on this. This is the importance of learning and having to fuel yourself to have Rachmanis on your own soul, to be Ma'oire Rachmim on others. And that's going to be through tefillah. One of the things I did very strong when I first started keeping Torah mitzvahs was to start to tune in to other people that will have neshamas and to pray for them. One of the important things when I was in Kollel or any good community I joined, we all would pray for each other. That you knew then you knew it was real, because then in your own personal time between you and Hashem, you care about other people, you're praying for them. You're davening for other people, and that's a big schus. By davening for other people, I tell you, there's a famous singer I've done for always, since I had the schus to, maybe I always done for him, but I had the schus to actually have a long chat with him. His name's Matziel, and I got his full name, just to have in mind, his Neshama Matziel and Rachel Malch, some say 5ish, I don't know. So I asked his son about it. Levi. I was with his son Levi at a Shiva house 2 weeks ago, and I asked him, or 3 weeks ago before Pesach. So I asked him and I said, "Is your father Fivish or Matziel?" Because I've heard different things. He said to me, the Chabad Rebbeim, once he became Meforsim, they said you take on the name Lagamri Matziel, even though his name was Fivish. So he became Matziel. But anyway, so Daven for him, so he came to Rav Simai Zilberg, who we're talking about now. And I said to Rav Simai Zilberg, I said, this person has a big hashpah on Am Yisrael. This was when he was like the height of his fame. So I said, can Rebbe have a hashpah on him? Go speak with him. He went up to him, he gave him a bracha. I tried to make a meeting with him. I tried to get his mashpia involved. It was a whole thing, but it didn't happen so much other than there was a bunch of brachas and words in between somewhat, and they saw each other and heard some Torah together, but I wasn't matzliach so much to mashpia. But I spent a whole long time, while you were at home as a little boy, I walked all the way from Nachas Yankov all the way to the shuk, which is pretty far, the end of the shuk, on Shabbos, and I talked with him the whole way. And that's when he told me his Hebrew name, and I davened for him till now. And now, just this last week, I booked his son to perform in Tzfat. And I said to the Chabad Shliach, it's very important for me that you book Levi. So why are you going on pushing me so much for this Levi, for this son of Matziel? Why are you pushing it? I said, because if you bring him to Moran, or you bring him to Tzfat, that's where he's going to be on Lag BaOmer. And that's a big te'elis. And not only that, he's going to be thinking about Reb Shimon, he's going to be opposite Moran, he's going to have a Ruchnias Aliyah by being by your event. So I want to bring him there. That's where, if I have a hashpah, I want to bring a yid to a good place. I don't know. They're on their journey. It's hard to evaluate where people are holding nowadays.
That's true.
It's to give labels and all this stuff.
Even people that are supposed to be teachers of Torah, it's hard to evaluate where they're actually holding.
Exactly. Like when we were sitting by Rosh Shlomo's house yesterday, his tish, and we were talking about different paths and the Shirat David and everything else. You can't really pin it down. You can, but it's not the true evaluation because everyone's on a journey. So, everyone's trying to learn from the good from Am Yisrael. So there's so much good in the Haredi world. You can learn from it. Doesn't mean you're going to be Haredi by learning from it. But in the end, who cares whether you're going to label it or not? You're drawing out the good from Am Yisrael. That's the emes, Vadai. The name of it, okay, that can be questioned, but you didn't wear the clothes of the Haredim, so how can you be Haredi? But you're learning from the Haredim. Does that make Haredi? No. It's all labels, and that's the Chitzonius. The Panemius says, we're learning Tanya right now, Lamed Beis, end of Lamed Beis, and I've quoted your Sefer, Bornstein, that I was talking about the Eishes Sov of Geva, that whole chapter. But it connected in, the importance of bringing out, that Am Yisrael is a Panemius people, we're Panemius. That's what gave the women such a koach as well, because they're Koretzona. They're Panemius. That was what the Rebbe kept pushing, before Mashiach comes. So it's almost like his galus of Panemius that's going to take place. That finally something that was so sneers and kept so private starts to be revealed. Because just like Panemius Torah is revealed, so is the Eishes Sov of Gova. The women start to be Megala more. Because the Panemius is coming out. Not the feminist garb, the garb of it, but the Panemius of the women, of being the greatness of Am Yisrael, the Sidkonius. And that's what will bring Mashiach. But this is here is compassion banishes hatred and arouses love. Yaakov who redeemed Avram. Yeah, that compassion banishes hatred and arouses love. Because Yaakov is Tiferes, Rachamim, and Avram is Chesed and Ava. Yeah, how it manifests. So the Rachamim pushes away the Sina and arouses the Ava. And this can be a perfect day to learn Malchus of the Gevurah, to learn this Torah, because we're about to finish the week of Gevurah. We've mumted the dinim, the judgments. We're using Gevurah only for Avodas Hashem, and we're going into the week of Tiferes, which is all about Yaakov being Poder Ava, bringing out the Rachman, the balance, the truth, the Tiferes, the equilibrium. We're bringing it out to rouse the Ava, the true Ava. Lo amud David HaMelech Olav Shalom Tachlis Sinas in a sign, and this is the famous passage that the Baal Tanya brings a bunch of times. That with a consummate hatred, I hate them with a consummate hatred. It's very strong pasuk in Tehillim in Kuf Lamed Tes, which is close to your pasuk, because your pasuk for Yosef is very close to that. You've got to go. It says, Ela al haminim apikosim she'einem chelek Elokai Yisrael. This only refers to the ones you hate with the takasina, to the apikosim and to the minim. And nowadays, even that's confusing exactly who they are, what they are. Gedeis of Gemara, Reish Perek Tezayin T'Shabbos. Okay, Bimatzliach. There's a constant hatred. The mitzvah of Hav Yisrael bases them as well. So, just to summarize, we round off with Perek Lamed Beis. The only heter to have hatred towards the Yid is Chas v'Sholom Apikoros, or someone who's, a min, and exactly what that is nowadays. Are they still legitimate Apikosim? You have to ask a rabbi. But as far as I learned, I heard from the Tolna Rebbe. Oh, it's yours? Yeah. It's a Tolna. Here, let me clean it. This is schmutzig. I've got a little wipe. I'll wipe it for you. So the Tolna Rebbe once said, about someone who, unfortunately, some of the Charenim hated at one point. It's quite a public thing, so I don't think it's lashon hara for me to say. But people hated Lapid, because of his father and this and that and all the politics that went on. My Rebbe once said, you don't say a machshamo about such a person. He once put everyone in their place and said, you don't say that about a Yid. You don't say a machshamo about a Jew. And no matter what his politics and his history, and that was the nakuda, that you don't hate a Yid. Because to say that because it's not like the old days when they actually knew Torah and then they became against Am Yisrael. Now, the only time that it manifested the hatred towards someone who seemed to be a Yid was the missionaries. That was something which did manifest in the Babich Rebbe, and we've already heard from Shlomo Katz towards the missionaries when Shlomo Kalibach would deal with them. That was when there was some sort of hakpada, I don't know, hatred, but anger towards those kind of people coming to try to convert Jews away from our Messiah. But that was the only other time I think that it manifested. Towards a political figure, I never saw really hatred from tzaddikim or true tzaddikim towards those people, because I don't think that's something that we should be busy with, because it's hard enough to try and love a Yid, and that's the avoda that we have to focus in on the heichus chus, on the avos Yisrael, the Nefesh Elokai Mamal Mamesh, the Nekuda Tova. We have to makav people to Torah like Aaron and Kohen. We just had Perek Alvis this Shabbos. We have to be Oyev Shon and Vodah Shon, makav and Buyas, the Torah, as we mentioned when we learned that a week ago, and from Hillel, Hazokin, and this is how we have to be. This is what we aspire for, towards bringing everything close to Hashem, including ourselves, obviously, and the Jews and the community around us, become united souls, people that are joined together, and in the merit of learning the Heart of Tanya, we should be zocheh to true avos Yisrael, and from that we'll be zocheh to Kabbalah the Torah b'shleimus, and with that we'll be zocheh to Mashiach Sekenu and the Gilead of Hashem Shechina in the world, and Mashiach Sekenu b'mhei v'mei amen. Should be a good week and a good chodesh. Ani Hashem Rafecha.